Wait. Oh no, the camera's on anyway.
Okay. Hey guys, this is our first time streaming. This is our game of Pixel Story. Just as a kind of bit of a rundown for anyone who might ever watch this who has never seen our game before. We are Lamplight Studios. We're an indie development company based in Manchester, and this is our game Pixel Story. It's a 2D puzzle platformer for PC, released on Steam on March 30th, so on Monday. And it's essentially an action puzzle platformer set inside a giant computer system where you play as a little program trying to save the world. And yeah, we're just going to show you a little bit of the gameplay and kind of go through some different little sections, and hopefully you like what you see. So, I'm Martin, and this is Ross, and we're going to be showing you our game. Okay. So this is a early build we have of the, this is essentially a demo that we're showing at Expo that we're going to play through first. And this is just the start of the game. This is our first level, and essentially the way the game works is as you progress through this game, and as you're traveling through this giant computer system, and as you get close to the center of this computer, the graphics essentially upgrade, well, the aesthetics, so the graphics and the audio get better. So this is kind of our first generation, really, and you kind of just start off quite simple, platforming around, meeting some NPCs, just kind of getting used to how the game works, getting used to the mechanics, and the platforming and all that kind of stuff. So where the game actually starts off, within the demo we don't show this off, but in the full game you see, essentially you start off chasing this seagull who's stolen your hat, and you get a bit of a spiel at the beginning to basically explain why this hat is something quite important, and it's something you're chasing, it's some super powerful artifact. So that in the entire game you get a bit of a cinematic towards that to kind of explain why you're doing it, but for now, just in the kind of context, you're essentially chasing a seagull with a hat. So that's just a brief covering the very first level, just showing off some of the platforming mechanics, but we're going to step forward now and essentially show you where the game really gets into the kind of meat and potatoes of the experience, which is once you actually have the hat and once the mechanics start to kind of unveil themselves. So this is our kind of reveal scene. Sorry about that.
It's your brother.
So when we first started developing this game, we essentially went to a competition in Scotland called Dare to Be Digital, where our entire team, Lightlight Studios, is 5 guys who graduated from Salford University on the games course, and we went to a competition, an international competition in Scotland called Dare to Be Digital, where you essentially make a game for 9 weeks. So that's essentially where this game came from, is we had developed that prototype in 9 weeks, and what you see in front of you is essentially the culmination of 2.5 years' work. So a lot of the stuff you see throughout our game is essentially reimaginations of that first prototype. So the hat scene has always been there for a long time, but it's something that we've reworked a lot, and is hopefully very different from the original one, which we really weren't too happy with looking back on it. It's actually one of the things we're doing on Twitter at the moment, is showing some kind of comparison, some contrasts of the old build of our game versus the new one, and I think we're fairly happy with how much it's changed. But it's quite interesting to see how much of the game is actually still the way the original build was. This is essentially our first puzzle introducing the hat mechanic, and this is mechanically almost a carbon copy of our very first puzzle in the original build. It's just got a kind of different aesthetic to it. So that, as you can see, that's essentially displaying what the primary mechanic of the game is, which is your magic hat, your magic teleportation hat, as is so catchy, is kind of does what it says on the tin. You drop the hat anywhere you like, and then you can teleport back to it. And throughout the game, we're going to we develop on that mechanic, adding on extra layers and stuff like that. But that is essentially the root of our platforming mechanic. And I forgot to introduce this character who's kind of been advising you along the way. This is our kind of buddy companion character called Search, and he essentially acts a bit as your guide, to provide some hilarious quips, but also just kind of introduce you to the new mechanics and guide you a little around the world as you're kind of new to this whole region. And at the same time, yeah, he's there to kind of flesh things out and also explain how the mechanics work. This is actually a really, really sharply cut version of our second level. It doesn't even slightly end there. There's essentially our game is comprised of these 6 very large freeform levels. But what you're seeing now is a demo version, incredibly cut down one, just to kind of be a bit punchy and kind of get to the point of explaining how all these mechanics are and what you're actually going to be seeing throughout the game. So that was a glimpse of our second level, but it's actually a lot bigger than that. And this is what we call our upgrade scene, fairly obviously named because you upgraded it. So as you travel between these different generations, the idea is you're kind of collecting more memory, and this scene is like a culmination of that. It's once you've gotten to the point where you're ready to progress into the next scene, you get this kind of visualization of your character actually upgrading a generation. So we've gone from a kind of lower Phi 8-bit to it's still pixelated but a slightly higher graphical fidelity. And it's one of those things that when we were originally developing the game, we struggled with a lot, that people just didn't, as you're going from one pixel art style to a kind of higher fidelity but still pixel art style, a lot of people finding it very difficult to even slightly notice the transition, which is kind of why we made the upgrade scenes in the first place, was essentially this whole scene dedicated to watch this happen, this is definitely what's going on. So we hope that we're kind of introducing that well. And this is kind of a preview of our third level, and this is the introduction of our first development upon the hat mechanic. So the first level is just platforming, the second level introduced the hat and using that to teleport around, and this essentially introduces momentum. So essentially the idea that when you drop your hat, rather than just almost saving a location, it's almost like just an instant teleport to that point. So if you have any momentum before you go to the hat, that momentum is preserved when you go back to the hat. So if you jump and leave your hat and then jump again and hat back, you kind of jump from where the hat was. And that's one of the mechanics we struggled with for quite a while, less in how it worked. The implementation is actually almost easier to code than not doing that. But the difficult part was explaining to the player exactly how it's going to work in a way that's not hopefully too hand-holdy, but also kind of people get it. Because whilst showing this off at expos, one of the things we really found is that the way you design a game and the way you intend it to be played is very often not even slightly how people interpret it to be. And so we spent a lot of time kind of going over exactly even the order in which we do the puzzles and how complex the puzzles are, to kind of properly lay it out so that the player gets a good idea of what they need to do, and feel like they've learned it themselves rather than us saying this is what you need to do, because I don't think anyone really likes that level of hand-holding. Again, this is essentially a demo kind of cut down version of our third level, because we just kind of quickly want to get through showing off some of the graphical generations and some of the mechanics. So the level at this point, this is actually a slightly reformatted version of our third level, but it extends very far past that into a, well, probably our largest level in the entire game. Actually, that's a very large one. But yeah, we had to cut that down simply for the fact that we already had complaints at Expos that our demo time was too long. We had a couple of parents complaining at us that their kids basically weren't getting to play on the game because people were taking 20-30 minutes with our demo. So we kind of decided to cut that one down a bit. And yeah, as you can see, this is our kind of upgrade again from the first time, not moving from a pixel art style to something that's actually a bit softer and smoother. And this is kind of meant to be vaguely indicative of, I suppose there's not really a term for it like 16 or 8-bit, but modern games, just kind of higher graphical fidelity, and yeah, just a bit more representative of what 2D games can kind of achieve nowadays. And what we introduced with, the mechanic we introduced with this is essentially, you've had the ability, we've introduced a couple of mechanics between the third level and this, which is our 5th level. But the core mechanic here that's being introduced is essentially these white squiggly lines, which I think our companion character helpfully names Reflecto Equalize Squiggly Lines or something like that, very catchy. But we call them reflectors, and essentially they kind of, again, do what they say on the tin. If you hit the reflector with any amount of force, that force is just reflected back exactly, which from a coding standpoint gave us a lot of headaches for a very, very long period of time to get them working physically completely accurate so the player wouldn't ever lose momentum or wouldn't ever gain momentum. We spent months and months pulling our hair out to make sure that one works, but over the past year and a half we haven't seen them go wrong, so we're just going to hope that it stays that way. Oh well, thank you. We, like I said, the game's going to be out in 3 days now, so and we are officially on lockdown, so anything past this point, our game's kind of ready to ship. We just got to make sure there's nothing catastrophically wrong with it, which I don't think there is. So thank you, and yes, good luck to us.
Matthew Jones, 69,
Well, yeah, thank you. We've been doing crunch, so you know. I think being alive at this point is fairly impressive. The fact that we also look incredibly switch is a testament to how good we are. Yeah, so this is essentially, yeah, in a minute. Do you want to kind of, well, yeah, I'll kind of give a brief overview of what's going on here. So, when we started making the game, as a team, we're all kind of like slightly hardcore gamers, and I mean that's kind of a nebulous term, like what really defines hardcore. But the point is we've all played a lot of games, and some of our favourite games are things like Braid, Limbo, Super Meat Boy, VVVVV. And one of the things that as a designer you have to worry about is essentially not really designing the game for yourself. That was certainly what we set out to do, was just to make a cool game that we would like. But you obviously have to worry about whether or not anyone is A, going to understand what it is you're doing, and B, whether or not they're going to like it. And whilst we can't promise that everyone will definitely like anything we do, and it's very hard to gauge that kind of thing, you can certainly control whether or not something is insanely hard. So with the kind of core gameplay experience, what we really wanted to do was, what we essentially wanted to do was just basically make a game that most people could get through and kind of experience the narrative and see the world and develop on the mechanics and see all the mechanics we kind of had to play with. But our designers are obviously quite hardcore game players, and they wanted to make something that would really challenge people. But to make sure that people could play through it, we wanted to make the core path fairly easy. But what we essentially did was, our game is broken up into 3 layers. So you've got our core path, which should be fairly easy to achieve. Obviously it does get harder over time, and it is still a puzzle game, so it's whether or not you get it. But then beyond that, you can kind of explore each level and do extra quests and extra areas, and those are going to get a bit harder. And this is essentially our third level, which is what we call our challenge rooms, and they kind of are, again, what they say on the tin. It's 15 rooms throughout the game that essentially, they're one-screen levels, and they take a mechanic and just kind of run with it, and they are insanely hard. So that's good for kind of the masochists out there, and certainly our designers who, once you've been playing with a game for 2.5 years, you kind of need the hard stuff to keep it interesting. So this was kind of their chance to just explore things and really have the most fun with the mechanics that they could. So at the end, this is just, again, our demo build. At the end of this demo, essentially what you're presented with is the first challenge room in our game, but we've got it on a time limit. And essentially players, up until release, which is in 3 days, we were saying that at Expos, if players could complete any of our challenge rooms in 2 minutes, they would get their name on the credits. And I think, how many have we got now? Like 30 or 40? Which is a fairly nice amount. We were a bit worried that either hundreds would get on or none. And as it turns out, we got a really nice level of difficulty where at 4 or 5 Expos, I think we got about 12 names per thing. So that was a really nice kind of affirmation that what we'd done wasn't insanely hard and people could do it, but it was elite enough that people would certainly find it a challenge. And we had a couple of people, even after doing it, coming back 8, 9, 10, 20 times to play it again. So we hope that it's not just because it's insanely hard, but also fun that people are playing it. Yeah, do you just kind of want to chuck through the challenge room and then just... no, yeah.
Actually,
no,
yes, I died like mine. Shall we do that?
This one.
Okay, yeah. I got 43 seconds to try and get through this now. I haven't spent a huge amount of time in the challenge rooms. I've played through them all, but I'm not going to promise. Yeah, excuses a little bit. On this particular challenge room, we find that the... Oh dear lord. Okay. Oh, 9 seconds. This is going pretty poorly, guys. We find the highest attrition rate is actually kind of in the bottom left corner, so we say to most people, if you can get past that, then you're probably golden. Okay, well that was embarrassing. I did actually do this the other day. I recorded it for... I was recording some footage and I absolutely trounced that challenge room in one go, but I think it's as soon as there are other people are watching, the pressure's on, and now I just really suck. So that was kind of our demo build that we show at our expos, but what we're going to do now is essentially just show you a bit more of our challenge rooms, because we quite enjoy them and they're more fun to watch people play because people die lots, and that's a good thing, right? So we're going to chuck on kind of our full build of the game and just kind of go into a few challenge rooms and kind of see how that goes. So yeah. Okay, so just to kind of give a bit of an explanation, what you're kind of looking at here, which might look insanely confusing, is essentially what we call the bedroom or a hub. As you kind of play through the game and as you navigate between levels, this is essentially actually the area that you can come back to go to your level. It's essentially our level select and the area that the player comes into whenever they come in from the main menu. And this is essentially a display of the generations you've unlocked. So there's 4 generations throughout our game. And as you progress through the generations, you see more and more generations available in the bedroom. So it starts off with just 1, and then it's half and half between the first and second generation, then 3, and as you can see, we've got 4 there. And what you can essentially do is put your hat down on any cook, and you pick that generation as the area you want to go into now, and you can kind of interact with our little whatever games console is kind of meant to be indicative of that generation, and essentially pick your levels. Now, just as a kind of like a side note, the reason we made it a bedroom was one of the narrative themes we originally had within our game when we were first developing it. It was essentially, as well as kind of mapping a vague progression of not like saying this is what games are, but certainly indicative of look how games have changed, like things have upgraded, and that's certainly what we were trying to go for a little bit. But there's also meant to be a narrative progression. Our character himself was actually meant to age up, so he's not meant to be like a baby or anything, but we imagined him kind of maturing as he went on. So the bedroom is meant to be kind of roughly indicative of that he kind of is like almost this kid, and he's growing up as he gets older and has to kind of take on more serious roles. So our kind of 8-bit is a bit more happy and childish, and as you kind of progress through the generations, it does kind of take on a slightly more serious tone. And that's not like a really, really strong theme, but it's certainly one that we had in mind whilst we were working on the game. And we thought we could use the bedroom to kind of slightly encompass that. But anyway, yeah, we're going to jump into one of our challenge rooms now and probably die a lot. And whilst this has just been me and Ross showing off the game, I think we might get some others in to fail catastrophically at our levels, just to kind of show that it's not just me. Yeah, okay, so you want to go into like 1, 2? Or?
Sneaky Sapso asks, which challenge room do you think is the hardest?
We actually had some guys from UK Gaming Network, I suppose that's a shout out to them, playing our game the other day, and they have one of their guys is one of the top times on Braid in, is it in the UK, in the world? Either way, they're very, very good at games, and they kind of actually, without asking them to, they comprised a list of what they think our hardest challenge room order was. Can you remember what theirs was? Yeah, so it probably one of the lava levels. Again, that's kind of, the lava levels utilise a mechanic that we haven't shown off in the demo, but to be honest, they're all quite insanely hard, and they all emphasise different things. So this level is a challenge room that's kind of off the path of our 8-bit level. And this is before you have the hat, so the first 2 challenge rooms don't even make use of the hat, and it's just about raw platforming. And the first one you saw a while ago with all the cannonballs, and this is our other one. And I was actually trying to record some footage for our game on this one the other day, and I spent about 40 minutes doing this and still didn't manage to do it, but then was completely trivialized by Tom, our other programmer, who just did it in like one go. So maybe that is that I just really, really suck. But I actually find this one particularly difficult, but there are, yeah, they kind of emphasize different angles. So this one's very heavily on the platforming side. There are ones that are a bit more logical and require you to use these more complex mechanics, and there are ones that are more about timing.
Sneaky Sapso was the guy who actually
Okay, well, fair enough. There you go. Yeah, I think for me it probably is the platforming element. Like I really enjoy puzzle games and logic, so those are the ones I probably find a little bit easier. My time on like raw platformers like Mario has probably been less than the rest of the team. I tend to be a bit more of a RTS and a beat 'em up kind of guy. So yeah, the kind of reaction kind of reflex nature of platforming games is probably one of the ones I struggle with a bit more. So ones like this are probably the one I really struggle with.
Well, I am anyway.
Right, just to kind of give a bit of a rundown here, Ross is actually our level designer, and he is actually the person who designed this challenge room, and has proven that all of these challenge rooms can be done. But I think it's one of those things that as soon as you put yourself in front of someone, or...
Carl was watching that.
We'll put it in the one that we think is the hardest. And probably so. So, you think it'll be really nice?
Oh, what are we doing? Oh, what is that?
This is my favourite one.
Is it?
I'm not great on it, but it's just my favourite one. Because you come into the level and see all that.
Come on, Carl.
No, I'm not even slightly.
This is
Oh
shocking.
my god.
It's run and jump. What are we doing?
Right.
Take a breather.
Okay.
Go on, Carl.
Yeah.
Keep on.
No.
Ruin it? What do you mean? Yeah, from all this absolutely top class play that's taking place here.
you go in this one. More actually, so if you wanted to jump on screen and show
Alright, give it the pump. Stay quiet.
I was going to say, it's a bit surreal that we can't actually hear the game audio right now, so we're just sitting in a completely silent room.
Oh, you gotta be kidding. This game's rubbish. I know, don't.
I was going to say, I've
tell me that,
literally never failed that early, but obviously. I always die on the spike that's jutting out on the side of the wall there, but... Yeah,
This one's too easy, she could put it in a hard one.
Do you want to pass the
It's not even
back
got
on?
a hat in it. Yeah, go on. What are you doing? Come on, try.
Yeah, I'm there already.
I thought you were so good at this.
How's about volume?
It's a little embarrassing that we were literally having a conversation before this Twitch stream started that was like, what happens if we just trounce the challenge rooms too easily and the stream lasts about 2 minutes?
That's why we decided to be so bad.
Yeah, that actually, yeah.
This is
a conscious decision.
That ruins me, that bit. Die a little bit. Oh,
Come on,
I'm sure you will.
embarrass us. She's never let it down. I don't think you're allowed to stop on the bottom.
Oh,
what was that? Oh my
I
god.
can't do it. No, it's not it.
I'll just stay off camera.
Can't do that. You're playing very well.
Otherwise you don't get the nervous tension of knowing that maybe 12 people around the world are watching you.
Upwards of 3 or 4 people. Embarrass myself.
If it looks like you're gonna do it, by the way, I'm
I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to get the thing in. Where do you think Thomas has run away from? You got my sense.
Oh,
Oh,
Carl.
beautiful.
What is going on?
Oh, this is embarrassing.
Oh, I don't know.
Wrong way.
Wrong way!
Oh my god.
I like it, just play with me.
Oh!
Oh, one more go.
Rope Tom in.
Don't get on there.
Carl and Ross, who you just saw playing before, are actually the designers, so it does make a little more sense that they might be a bit more qualified at the game than us. I spend most of the time trying to make sure that it's not completely falling apart. So that is completely why I am completely justified in not being the best at this genre.
Yes.
I think that's the fake tan that sets you in from like knowing that you're exposed to the world and the game that you've been crafting for 2.5 years.
Oh, try this one.
It's about to show you up. Give me one more go.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm getting
Ah, okay.
giddy. That was embarrassing.
That was slightly embarrassing.
I didn't pick that one. So.
We're gonna show up on the Gen 2 ones.
Yeah.
First one. We're gonna get Tom on.
Tom will play it.
Tom will run.
We did this wrong. We should have done one that we definitely beat.
Oh my god, Martin, did you see that?
No, that didn't happen. Didn't happen.
What?
You just died on the first platform.
That was at least halfway between the second one. Oh, is that gonna get? Oh, what was that?
Oh, in the face.
Calm down, man.
This is the outfit.
Now, I actually haven't played this challenge room a whole lot, so I'm not even completely sure on how to even do this bit, but I think. Not like that. That was my plan, but it turned out that yeah, jumping into the soul wasn't a key part of achieving that challenge room. Oh, okay, this is just getting worse, guys. Does someone wanna? Tom, I think. Does it matter? Is that gonna make a huge amount of difference here?
Not really.
Oh, oh, it's just this one, right? Okay, fair enough. It doesn't, because I took it out the other day.
It never existed.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, he's the one who can't live.
I don't even know how that was.
Right. Trying to just do it. It's all fixed. It's definitely
Has anyone got past the second?
We haven't completed a single challenge room.
No, it's quite embarrassing.
What's embarrassing is that you're not getting to the half bit.
He's got it. Oh, he's not got it.
Wait, have you tried your hand in it?
Oh, I've done it.
Failing.
Oh, Tom, come on. He's done it. Right. So,
Okay, no, it hasn't done it.
pretty much.
That was bold. That was some bold play right there.
Oh, that was good. I think it's gonna go pretty similar. That's how I got my Tom. No! It's not. Right, that was Carl's fault. Throwing it out. We have one more go. We've got it on one that's definitely we're gonna do it.
First level.
What we should have done is like recorded like someone
got some.
playing through the challenge room and completing it and then just putting that onto the stream and just like
No, he's not happy. I'm over with it. It's just going to walk around design drops.
It's alright, she's lying.
Carl is yet to represent on this one.
Yeah, I'll lie
I can't read that.
I'll pick another one.
I can correct
Yeah,
you.
Carl. It is a lot of pressure. Surprised no one used it.
This is getting worse, guys. I'm regressing.
13 people watching 40.
Quiet contemplation came over the room, it weirded me out.
We need to complete at least one.
I think we do.
I'm not sure we're going to.
Oh!
I got a bit. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm playing it in ages.
Again, we have been on crunch. Mines are not in their most sane state at the moment, so I'm sure that's why we're feeling so awful. Oh, right. Ah, don't be rubbish. Right, yeah. Oh, my plan of action was all wrong. Oh. Right. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah. I was getting so what I was doing wrong was I was being rubbish. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So what I need to not be rubbish? Right. Oh, see, I was, okay, it's just the being rubbish bit, I'm getting finding it hard to handle on that. This is getting worse, guys. Someone take over. What? Ross has already had a go. We need to see some Carl or some Tom.
Actually, Tom got furthest on his first go.
That's awesome.
Turn it off.
Have you?
Yeah, it's just a game on at the moment. That's what maybe we do.
Oh, no, tell us. Right, we do that'd make it.
You said you could even just jump in.
First one?
What's going on? Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That wasn't a catastrophic bite, that was a non-stop game. A cold fear sent across the office there, jeez.
Rage.
That's not quite rage quit.
That's a nice one.
Do you not like that lava one? It's quite a nice one. You just did it before, didn't you?
Yeah, this one.
Just tanked it.
It's not hard enough for him.
Fair enough.
He needs the thrill.
You put it in toxic. Really? This one.
Yeah, just involuntarily. Some beautiful playing.
Oh,
That was so sublime play.
we've got a gem.
That's pretty beautiful.
Pretty sure we caught that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think that's actually probably is a good signing off point. Okay, so that was just a few of our challenge rooms. Like I said, that was just a kind of preview of 3 or 4, and there are 15 of those throughout the game, and even the people who made it aren't even that good at it, so just imagine how insanely hard they're going to be. That being said, again, the UKGN guys did absolutely trivialize them, so... but yeah, so that's our game. A Pixel Story 2D puzzle platformer out on Steam on 30th of March, published by Channel 4. And yeah, hopefully you guys take a look and like what you see. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.